If you're a woman who has big goals and dreams, I'm so glad that you found this channel. And most importantly, I'm so glad that you found this video because this is a video that I wish I had because I am a woman with big goals and dreams and I didn't realize it. But for years and years and years, I was doing things that were actually holding me back from my potential. And I didn't really have the guidance of other women who were really big high achievers in my life. And it took me literally years to figure all this stuff out. And now, when I work with women one on one in my practice, I can easily pinpoint and pick out the things that they're doing that are holding them back from their true potential. If you're new to this channel, my name is Dr. Bisley Natley. I'm a naturopathic doctor and I help women basically rise into their next level of success by teaching them how to optimize their mind and body. If you're truly serious about achieving your goals and dreams, then you have to start off by optimizing yourself first. I think that for a lot of us, when it comes to optimizing our goals, one of the first things that we do is we look at everything outside of us. We look at our external things that we need to do, but we don't think about what is the version of ourselves that we need to become. How can I help myself get into the best body, best mind? Because when you yourself become the best version of you, opportunities in all areas of life easily flow in. And so when you think about the goals and dreams that you need to achieve, I want you to think about who is the woman that you need to become. Because when you focus on building a body that feels energetic, that you feel light in, that you are proud to look in the mirror and call yours, and at the same time work on your mindset, work on regulating your emotions, that positive self-talk, and literally becoming your own biggest cheerleader, that's how you unlock everything that you've ever wanted in life. So everything needs to start with you. It needs to start with you looking internal, because when you look internal, work on the internal, the external magically follows every single time without a doubt. And so with that being said, let's get into the top 3 things. And I have my little handy dandy clipboard list here that really hold women back from their potential. I have seen it from my experience in my own life with me trying to step into my potential. I've worked with thousands of women in my practice and I've seen these 3 things come up over and over and over again. And they're specific to women because I've noticed that men sometimes don't struggle with all of these as much. Sneaky thing number 1 is lack of boundaries, aka being accessible to anybody at any time. I cannot begin to just tell you how many years I've struggled with this. And honestly, even to this day, I still struggle with it. And I have to, make sure that my phone during the day is on do not disturb, or I'm very mindful of the text messages that I come in and make sure that I'm not responding to certain people right away because it is really not important. And honestly, it has taken me a very, very long time to get to this space. And I find that especially women really struggle with this. They really struggle with boundaries, with saying no. I think we as women tend to be a lot more of social creatures as well. And, we love to yap and talk all day long. But what ends up happening is that if you lack these boundaries and anybody can call you at any time and steal your energy away, it's really hard for you to put that energy and focus into your goals and the things that you're actually trying to accomplish and achieve in your life. I remember when I first started my practice, I remember about 5 years ago when I first started my business, I lacked these boundaries so much. And any friend that wanted to call me during the day, I'd let them call me during the day. If I needed to run errands for my family during the day, I'd go run errands for my family during the day because I'm just like, oh, there's less traffic, there's less blah, 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 XYZ. But then what would happen is that I would end up and look back at my day and be like, what the heck? Where did the time go? And I barely got the things that I need to get done. And it's so important that if you are somewhat of a people pleaser, because I am a recovering people pleaser, that you need to be really mindful about these boundaries because oftentimes we tend to get our value, our worth, our validation from the people around us. So it makes us feel like that the only way in order for people to like us is if we constantly sacrifice ourselves for them, if we constantly go above and beyond and, put our needs last. Oh, I feel like I need to spend a whole video talking about this because if you are constantly putting your needs behind everybody else's, you will never accomplish any of your goals and dreams. And this is something I see as a pattern that shows up in so many women. So I'm South Asian. What I have seen represented in my culture is that women are constantly sacrificing themselves. And I haven't really had a role model of a woman who puts herself first. And if we are going to constantly sacrifice ourselves for everybody else around us, When will our time ever come? When will we ever be able to achieve anything that we want to in life? We won't. Why? Because we're constantly going to be the martyr. We're constantly going to be serving other people, and then our time will never ever come. I really want this to be a gentle reminder to you that it's time for you to take your energy and your power back. And when you take your energy and power back by setting these really healthy boundaries and not making yourself accessible to anybody at any time, you step into your potential. And to be honest with you, this is really powerful energy as a woman to have, to not be accessible to anybody at any time, at any place in space. It is the most magical, most profound, most beautiful, most powerful energy as a woman that you can carry. And I even noticed in my life when I started to set these really powerful boundaries and not be accessible to anybody at any time, I literally found myself being more magnetic and attracting the right things and what I needed in my life that much more. So, what does it actually look like to put this into practice? So, first of all, I want you to take a step back and look at who is sucking your energy. Right? Are you allowing random phone calls of people throughout the day? Are you running errands for people throughout the day? Are you constantly scrolling on social media and you have no rules and boundaries around that? You need to first of all see who is overstepping and who is actually stealing your energy, who and what is stealing your energy during the day. And then based on that, you can set those boundaries for yourself. So some things that I've found worked really well for me is setting my phone on do not disturb. So I like to work in like an hour, 90-minute to 60-minute chunks of time. And so during that chunk of time, my phone is on do not disturb. I am not reachable. If you call me, I will not call back. If you text me, I will not text back. And that is just how I function and work. And during my break, sometimes I will text or call someone back. But again, I'm very mindful about it. Not anybody, I will not reply to just anybody. And so I will look at the text messages that I'm getting or the phone calls I'm getting and looking at, is this someone that I want to give my energy to right now? Or is this someone I can wait to give my energy to until the end of the day? That's how picky and choosy you need to be. If you have big goals and ambitions, you can't just let anybody come in and take your energy and your time. You need to be picky and choosy about that. And if this means communicating with other people the boundaries and times that you work and you do that, like let your friends know, hey, I work from 9 to 5 or, 9 to 6, whatever it is, and I am not available during that time. So if you want to hang out or call me, we can do it after that instead of just saying yes to people whenever they want to call you, reach you, or hang out with you. So super important, set those boundaries. Do not be accessible to anybody at any time. It's the most powerful thing that you can do to step into your energy and potential. And just watch when you do this, how much more time you actually start to have for the things that matter to you, like your business, your career, and actually progressing to the goals that you want to in life. Numero dos, duo, dos, two. I don't even know what language I was trying to speak there. But the second thing that holds a lot of women back from their potential is not being able to regulate their emotions. So, fun fact for you, women actually have a bigger limbic system in their brain. The limbic system is the part of the brain that's responsible for all of the emotional reactions and responses, just in a general sense of terms. This limbic system area, because it's bigger in women, we tend to be a bit more emotional creatures. And if we don't learn how to regulate our emotions in a healthy way, it can lead us to have some pretty crazy and wild tendencies, okay? And I am just speaking from experience. I have definitely been a crazy woman back in the day because I did not know how to regulate my emotions. And I have done everything under the sun in the terms of craziness, in terms of regulating my emotions. And, I can look back at my past, and one of the biggest ways I would regulate my emotions is by binge eating. I would constantly go through these phases where I would eat like big bags of chips and chocolate, and I would need to binge eat, or I would need to binge drink or binge party, or, have really toxic habits in relationships as a way to regulate my stress because I just didn't know how to regulate my emotions properly. And learning how to regulate my emotions has given me so much power and control in my life. And I truly see the difference in what it is to live my life as a woman whose emotions are regulated versus a woman whose emotions aren't regulated. I can see a difference between what I've attracted and pulled in terms of relationships, in terms of career opportunities, in terms of friendships. If you cannot be in control of your emotions, you cannot be in control of your life. And one thing I really want to clarify here, I am by no means talking about being toxically positive. I express my emotions. I cry like all the time if I need to. And I do not push down any of my emotions. But the way that I process and heal and work through my emotions is very different. And I'm able to actually do a lot of this work by myself instead of constantly feeling like I need to be dependent on other people, if feeling like I need to be dependent on things like, food or just these other vices that aren't really the best for me. So if you're just like, I suck at regulating my emotions, or I feel like I can't do it without my best friend or my partner, or I need junk food all the time, let's talk about some steps to really help you get started. Number one is you need to look into nervous system regulation work. I'm going to create a whole video about this so that you can look more into it. But you need to learn about your nervous system, okay? Because you need to start becoming aware of when you feel stressed out. You need to start becoming aware of when you feel triggered, and you need to learn how to start becoming aware of these sensations in your mind and your body, because the worst thing that can happen is that you start to feel these sensations in your mind and your body. You have no idea what's happening, and then you're just impulsive. You're just acting on automatic. And it's when we act on automatic, when we feel these really difficult emotions, that we tend to make really poor choices for ourselves. So, awareness has to be step number one, and you needing to be able to recognize when you feel triggered. Because when you can have the awareness and you're recognizing that, oh, I'm going to be triggered, you're able to then pause. You need to learn how to pause. This is so much easier said than done, because I have been a woman in the past who felt very uncomfortable pausing. I hated conflict. I hated being with the uncomfortable emotions. If a conflict was going to come up, or if any sort of problem would come up in my business, I would need it solved right away. Like, I just need it to be done and solved right away, because I felt like I couldn't rest or be okay if things weren't solved right away. And what I have learned now is the importance of sitting in uncertainty, the importance of being able to sit in the discomfort of conflict with someone and realizing that it's okay, that you're not going to die just because everything isn't sorted right now, right away. And when I learned how to just be okay with these uncomfortable emotions and learning how to regulate them in healthier ways, so instead of trying to eat chips, going for walks, working on my breathing, having healthy conversations with friends if that was really necessary, just letting myself goddamn cry, okay? Just letting myself cry and feel the emotions has been some of the most powerful ways that I've learned how to regulate them, because you can't get to the other side of feeling calm if you're refusing to feel. You need to feel. You have to feel the emotions. You have to work through them. It's only by feeling and moving through them can you get to the other side of feeling at peace and at calm. And when you can learn to be okay with the discomfort of these emotions, because let's be honest, why do you go and eat those chips? Why do you eat that chocolate? Why do you go, smoke marijuana or have that glass of alcohol? Because it's really difficult for you to sit with uncomfortable emotions. But if you want to achieve big things in life, you have to understand that at every stage it's going to suck, and at every stage you're going to have challenges. I recently just watched this short form video by Alex Hermosi just yesterday, and that's literally what he talked about. He was like, at every stage of business it sucks. When you're growing, there's pain. When you're plateauing, there's pain. When you're going down, there's pain. There's pain everywhere, at all components and all places. And when you can understand that, accept that, and be okay with the pain, you'll gain so much mastery over your emotions. Because let's be honest, it's when you feel emotional that you tend to make the worst choices for yourself. So you need to learn how to master your emotions, and mastering your emotions means being okay with them, being able to sit with them, and most importantly, not acting on them. The worst thing that you can do is to act on your emotions. And the best thing you can do is to be aware and then pause and then decide how you really want to act in that moment. Okay, now numero 3, sneaky thing that holds women back from their potential is lack of knowledge about their cycle. It's one of the most important things that you can do as a woman is learning about your cycle. And I'm not talking about cycle syncing here, even though it sounds like I'm literally talking about cycle syncing. As much as I'm loving this movement of women learning about their cycles, a part of me also kind of hates the whole cycle syncing movement, because I don't know about you, but I don't have time. I don't have time to adjust and move my whole schedule every single week based on where I am in my cycle. I don't have time for that. What I do have time for, though, is to be aware of where my body's at, make small minor adjustments, and give myself grace, because I know I won't be 100% myself on certain parts of my cycle. That I do have time for. And so when I'm talking about being aware of your cycle, I'm not talking about every single week change your workouts, change your eating habits, change all of this stuff, and align your whole life based on your cycle. That's not what I'm talking about here. Because let's be honest, we don't have time for that. And a lot of us, if you have jobs, if you have kids, if you have other people you're supporting in your life, you don't have the capacity to change up your life every single week based on where you are in your cycle. But how can we use this awareness as a powerful tool that helps us step into our potential is when you can be aware of where you are in your cycle, you can give yourself, number one, lots of compassion and grace because the way that you're going to function a few days before your period is going to be very different when you're in the middle of your cycle. It's very different, right? In the middle of your cycle, testosterone, estrogen are high. Closer to the end, right before you're going to get your period, all three of your hormones go down. So, of course, you're going to be functioning a little bit different. And if you're not aware of it, what starts to happen is you start to tell yourself, oh my God, what's wrong with me? I can't control my emotions. Something's, I'm broken, or I know it's always going to be like this, da 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 da, right? You go down that thinking pattern, which is honestly a very victim mindset pattern, which is exactly what I want you to avoid. And instead, when you can be aware, you can be like, oh yeah, look, it's just a few days before my period. So I'm not going to be feeling my best. So this means I'm going to be extra nice to myself. Maybe I'll have a couple extra calories, rest a little bit, and be super kind to myself. See, that's a difference in that. It's not about like, oh my God, I need to switch everything up. What I will literally do is when I know my period's about to come up, I still keep my same workout routine. So if I'm going to be doing legs one day, instead of using like 30-pound weight, I might just use a 10-pound weight. Or sometimes I won't even use a weight because I'm just like, my body's just not feeling like I can carry any weight, but I'll still do the same workout. And what I'll do too is maybe I'll get an extra 1 to 2 hours of sleep. I can also make a whole other video on this and how to make this whole cycle syncing piece be very easy and doable for high achieving women. And if it's something that you're interested in, like send me comments, like communicate with me, let me know because I will make a video on this if you're, especially if you're interested in this topic. You know, I'll get maybe like an extra hour of sleep or eat a couple of extra 100 calories because I know my body needs this during this time, but you will not catch me moving around my whole schedule just because I'm a few days away from period because I am at this stage of life where I don't have the capacity for that. I don't have the freedom to be able to do that and I need to show up to work and do certain things. But having that awareness allows me to give myself grace and compassion and tweak my routine so I can support my body in a better way. And that's what this is about. Because women who are ambitious and high achieving, they have a really good and incredible connection with their mind and their body. Because if we have no control over our mind and body, you can't achieve anything that you want in life because you can't even have control of yourself. So when challenges are going to come up, how are you going to persevere through it? How are you going to move through it in a powerful way if you don't even have any control of yourself, of your emotions, of your thoughts? You're not. And that's what this is about. And that's why optimizing your mind and body and yourself need to come first because you yourself need to be strong enough internally to be able to face the external challenges that will show up as you try to achieve your goals, whatever they may be. And the better that you feel, the easier it becomes to achieve anything outside of you. And so, if you want support with this, feel free to use a link below to book a free discovery call with me and we can chat more about what support for you looks like because I love doing this. I've worked with thousands of women and just seeing women step into their potential, like nothing lights me up more on fire than that.